What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to do a quick little recap of the Monaco game and then head into an Everton preview, and then we'll send you out on your way for this one. So let's just dive straight into the Monaco recap of sorts. I'm going to do 5 takeaways total, 3 positive takeaways, 2 negative takeaways, just to be a little bit more trending in the positive direction, because I feel like I just don't want to get to the point where we're just, being really reactionary and stale and like only focusing on the negative things. There's obviously time and place for that, but I feel like the last couple videos I made have trended toward that direction. So we're gonna look at some of the positives today and try to see if we can glean any of them. So starting with the first positive in this one, the first of the 3 is Vicario having an insane day. So if you can see here, Vicario got a 10 out of 10 SofaScore rating on the day. The first Italian, apparently, to get a 10 out of 10 rating. Cool. His stats-wise, and I think if you watch the game, he had a great game. Like, he was the one keeping us in that game, especially towards the end when Minamino came on and had like 3 chances there in the span of 10 minutes or so that he could have all scored, but some of them, poor finishes on his part, but also throughout the game, Vicario was just keeping us in it. So stats-wise, had 8 saves, 2.68 XG prevented on this one. He also got a 9.4 for his rating on SofaScore, on FootMob. So you can see here the 8 saves. Here's all 8 of those. XG faced, 2.68. Goals prevented, 2.68. Passing-wise, okay, again, that's kind of Vicario's, that's kind of the standard Vicario comes to as far as passing goes. And overall in Vicario, this is kind of the summary of him, is that he is either he's pretty much always a 7 out of 10 keeper, pretty above average, I would say. And then occasionally have these games where he just goes off and saves everything. And then occasionally have moments where he'll just basically throw the ball into his own goal. And so that's kind of the whole Vicario experience. But today, in this one, he was absolutely phenomenal and basically kept us from losing that game 2-3-0. Because if we look at it on the XG, actually, they had 2.45, 2.68 of that Vicario. And then 23 shots, 5 big chances. They had so many opportunities to score. So the fact that they didn't score is actually kind of a positive in itself. So secondly, for this one, Archie. I thought Archie looked really, really good in the midfield when he actually switched over to midfield, because he started this game, as you can see here, playing left back. And there was some questions starting the game when you saw this lineup drop of, okay, well, we have Paulinho, we have Danso, we have Archie Gray, we have who's going to be playing in the back line, who's going to be playing in midfield. Ends up being Archie Gray playing left back, and he played really pretty well at left back. I know he's played there a couple times before, but that's not necessarily a position that he prefers to play, I would imagine. But then later in the game, when we made some substitutions, he ended up, when Jed Spence came on, Jed Spence ended up going out to the left. Archie Gray stepped up in midfield, and Randall Colomani moved out to the right wing. And Archie Gray specifically, because I want to touch on Colomani in a second too, but Archie Gray specifically brought a lot to that midfield. I don't know if his overall stats are going to show it, because he played most of the game as a left back, but accurate passes, 28 out of 31. Defensive contributions, 8, really good. Distance covered, 6.7 miles, really good. Attack, 52 touches, didn't really get involved in the attack too much, but passes into final third. And that's something that we saw that I think has stuck out in the couple appearances he's had in midfield this season under Thomas Frank, is that he actually is, he really does have good pass. And he is one of the few players on the pitch routinely that actually can spot a forward pass pretty well and play a nice little through ball or something like that. So him playing at all was good to see in this one, because I think he's been kind of shy of minutes this season. But hopefully what we saw in midfield for a short cameo in this one will carry over to the next match. I really do want to see him play the next match. So That's Archie in this one. I thought he had a really good game. And then another player I thought who had a good game as they came on. I wouldn't say had a fantastic game, but had a good cameo and like looked like he was getting more up to speed and like ready to like. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts a match here in the next week or so because we have a lot of matches coming up. And looks pretty good. So Randall Colomwani started and played kind of out on the right wing as Kudus came off, and that's somewhere that he's played actually a fair amount. Definitely played more through the middle, but played a fair amount on the right, especially France. Accurate passes 4 out of 5, 11 touches, 1 touch in the opposition box, 1 successful dribble, 1 pass into the final third, and 1 time dispossessed. So one thing that I wanted to point out with Randall Colomwani, other than like him looking sharper, is that him and his technical ability like immediately just makes the team more attacking. And like he playing there out on the right, there was a moment where I don't think anything actually really comes off of it, like a super good attacking chance or anything, but playing out on the right, playing in space, dribbling at the opponents. I think this is where his successful dribble came. Like he just looks so much more like a put it in gear and go kind of player, which we have Kudus, obviously, who plays out there on the right, which is like that. Odebear has started to become more like that this season, which is great. But we do have a lot more players typically on the pitch that are kind of just like trying to get into the flow of the game, where it's like players like Kudus, Colomwani, like they bring the game to the opposition, and that's really great to see. So those were kind of the 3 main takeaways that I thought were positive from this one. All more or less player related because team performance wise, I don't think there was a lot of positive things to look at, other than I do want to say, because I'm not trying to be negative in any way here. The fact that we did go to Monaco, which is a tough place to play. Monaco's a decent side this year. They're not fantastic, but they've got some really good talent across the board. Balogun had some pretty decent chances. Akalush was playing amazing and was basically controlling the game for most of it. Minamino came on, had his really good cameo, had some really good opportunities. Like, they're a good side, and so the fact that we still get a point away in the Champions League is really, really good to see. You'll take that. Like, I would have taken a draw if you would have asked before the game. The only thing is I wouldn't have preferred the 0-0 draw because it just shows that like we really didn't have much going for us in this one. But to end this section on a positive note, yes, I was happy to see that it was a 0-0 draw, and we're still undefeated in the Champions League. We've fallen all the way down to like 16th place, so which is where we need to, if we look at that quickly, where we need to start picking up some points, because now we're 15th, sorry. Now we've played 3, gained 5 points, great. We're just on the edge of the like automatic qualification spots. So I would love to see us finish there so we don't have to add more games to the schedule, because we are starting to get to a point now where we have picked up a decent amount of injuries, and playing an additional couple matches, come February, I think it would not be ideal. So we want to move through automatically, obviously, if we can help it. So anyways, that was the majority of the positives in this one. Now let's just touch on a couple things that we saw in this one that wasn't quite great. And I'm going to be really quick about this one. And that was essentially a continuation of the issue we've been having here with space and everything. So, you can't really see that. My bad. If I get out, there we go. You can kind of see there. So this whole issue with the spacing, and now this is just a screenshot. I haven't actually gone back and watched this. But watching it live, you could see the spaces that were left in the midfield, and that's just something that we're going to have to, again, as we scroll down and see this one from Nathan A. Clark from the previous match against Aston Villa. Again, something that like Thomas Frank seems to want to play, and it just doesn't seem like that's creating really anything going forward. And so hopefully sooner than later he just figures that out, and we can have a better attacking unit for the rest of this season here. Also, it wasn't this. Did you, if you watch this interview or listen to this interview with Ben Haynes, you should definitely, if you haven't, it was on the Flav's podcast, I believe. but this was so cute. Sonny like talking about or Ben talking about how Sonny was just the best guy ever. And anyways, I'll go watch it. So with that, let's just kind of move on from the possession thing, because that's something we've talked about endlessly over the last couple weeks. But going off of that, another game where we finish with under 1 xG, only 11 shots total, 2 on target, only 1 big chance. Just really not good enough, and we need to be moving forward more. The thing is that, like, to continually pile up results and not be getting losses is a good thing, and I think that that's something that we should be thankful for and like hopeful and optimistic about. But like the way that the style of the play has basically like looked more or less like Jose Mourinho when he was here, where it's like, let's just be really defensive, and if something happens going forward, great. If not, we'll hope to kind of close them out and end up with a 0-0 draw like in this one. And I think a lot of people are just not interested in that style of play, and so hopefully that develops. I want to be really cautious of the way that I speak over the next couple weeks, because unless there's something blatantly obvious to point out, like, I don't want to keep hammering home the same things again and again and again. We need to give them time to fix it, and hopefully there's a plan in place, and we'll just have to kind of wait for it to play out. But so the last thing I want to bring up on that is this tweet from an account that, yes, I do have muted because I can't stand it most of the time, but this tweet from Alex THFC. This could be a very toxic period. What I want to say about this is not, while it is a very tricky period, and that's 100% true, we don't need to make it toxic. And that's like my whole point with this, is that when we look through these games, we have obviously Everton away at the weekend, Newcastle away in the Cup, 2 games at home, but against Chelsea and Copenhagen in the Champions League, really tough games. Then we have another home game against Man United, who might be kind of on the up and up. So, and then obviously Arsenal away, North London Derby away, like that's always a tricky fixture. PSG away, we played pretty decent in the Super Cup, but I mean, it's PSG and it's away. That's going to be a tricky one no matter what. Finish out with Fulham at home, and then Newcastle away again in the league. That's our next 10 matches or so. Those are going to be really, really tough, and there probably will be a spot within this that things look really, really bad. If we're being honest, like, we might not get very many results through this period, but like, we need to not overreact. I need to remind myself of that. We need to, try not to just let periods like this consume us and feel like there's no hope. Like, that's just not a productive way to go about things in my mind. Anyways, so moving on to Everton. If we can find our... Oh, I think I closed it. So we're going to go about this this way. So Everton, really interesting team, because they are currently 12th in the league. They aren't playing the best as of late. They had a really good run to start the season. We're in the top 10, have a couple of results that haven't necessarily gone their way, as you can see from the form here. Although a win against Crystal Palace is a good win for sure. So as we look at this back line, this is basically kind of the formation that they're going to play. You can barely see... What if I do this? So as you can see here, this is kind of the traditional lineup that they like to go with. I think they've started this back line in every game against the Premier League, or in every game in the Premier League. Mikolenko left back, Keane, Tarkowski. I think they have played Branthwaite here potentially as well instead of Keane, but then O'Brien starting on the right, which is hilarious because he's a 6'6" center back who's been playing right back and like actually making runs forward. So that's just hilarious to watch. But then Garner and Gay in the midfield pretty much every game as well. Dewsbury Hall starting in kind of the third midfield / kind of 10 position. And has played there every game except for the one that he was suspended, and Jai out on the right, starting every game as well. And then you'll probably see Jack Grealish here. The only reason why he didn't play in this last match was because he was, or they were going against Man City, who he's on loan from. And then it's been Beto or Barry up top. I think it's probably going to be Beto in this one because he's just like slightly edging out Barry at this point. But neither of them have really been performing well this season. Like that area is a spot at striker where Everton just really have not gotten it right over the past couple of seasons, and they really are like desperate for a better striker because the rest of this unit, especially the midfield, is really, really solid. So if they were to improve on that, that would bring them up in the table a lot, in my opinion. But so that's kind of the usual starters. If we head over here and look at some of their stats, very interestingly, so Grealish out on the left, he's obviously a player. We've seen him at City and Villa for years. Really good dribbler, really good ball retention, two things that he's very elite at. Also this season, he's been pretty solid at creating chances, obviously leading the league, tied with Kudus as well for 4 assists this season. And so with that, second most attempted dribbles just behind Kudus. Iliman and Jai right behind them as well with 43. So both players out on the wing, very dribbly, very good at going forward. They are two of the players, you could almost kind of include Dewsbury Hall in there at times as well, who just look to go forward all the time. Will obviously trap back and defend and stuff, but like they really have the intent to go forward throughout the entire game. And that's kind of why it seems like, Moyes likes to have that solid back line to kind of just have a foundation so that players above them can push forward and really, really attack. So Grealish, we're going to see, I think, really have another good performance. He obviously didn't play the last one, but pretty much every other game he's played in has contributed in some way. If we go back to this, Dewsbury Hall, you can see the assist and the goal this season. Garner with an assist and a goal as well. Both of them with incredible strikes from outside the box, so they have a good shot on them as well. Dewsbury Hall is going to give you a really good engine. He's going to track back and do some defending, but also one of the more creative players on the pitch for them. And so I want to go look at that real quick before we kind of move on to the next section of this. This sequence here against Wolves really illustrates what this combination on the left can bring. This is something we're going to have to be very aware of. So you can obviously see here we have that's Grealish right here. We have Dewsbury Hall on the ball at this moment. He's about ready to play a nice little ball into Grealish. So we can see that comes off. But actually what ends up happening is Grealish on the ball here gets kind of trapped right here by a couple defenders. They really get their bodies on him and start kind of making it difficult for him to turn and do anything. So what he ends up doing, as you can see, Dewsbury Hall cleverly, after playing that ball, starts to make this run in here. And what you see is Grealish play that ball. Dewsbury Hall gets on it right here. He's going to be playing a nice little ball across the box there for our guy Iliman and Jai right here to come far post and get a Brendan Johnson style goal right here. Nice strike on the ball, kind of beats these two Wolves defenders. But if we go all the way back here, you can see obviously that combination between these two players here, between Grealish and Dewsbury Hall, is something that we're really going to have to be looking out for. Because that could ultimately end up with Iliman and Jai getting on the ball and doing something with that. So speaking of Iliman and Jai and Jack Grealish, we see, again, Dewsbury Hall here on the ball. This is the Brighton match. We have Jack Grealish in tons of space right here. And so this is something that we do see. We don't typically play as high of a line as Brighton's playing, but we do at times. We could obviously see that against Brighton, we ended up playing a pretty good high line to concede the first goal to them. So something to look out for as we kind of have Pedro Porro tucking in here at times as well. These spaces here for Jack Grealish, if he gets on the ball, nice little dribble, brings it up, obviously starting to get closed down by defenders. You can see this, it's really only 3 on like 4 or 5, so like the odds are not necessarily in their favor. But Grealish, being the savvy player he is, draws the defender to him, and then kind of does a nice little drag and push forward to get the ball into a better opportunity for him to cross the ball over to Iliman and Jai. You can see here, again, making a nice back post run, heading out in this space right here. And then you have the next screenshot, getting a boot to a nice little poke in for the goal. And that's something that they have combined a lot this season between the two of them, not just on scoring opportunities, but like even sometimes Iliman and Jai will drift in and kind of work into these spaces in here. So sometimes he doesn't make this run. Sometimes he doesn't make this run here. Sometimes he'll kind of come in right here, get on the ball. And then that's when you sometimes see Jake O'Brien kind of working down the wing there. But anyways, very good on the wings. But like I said, if you give them too much space in the midfield, that's where Garner or Dewsbury Hall can fire a shot from long, and they both scored one already this season. So something to look out for there for sure. So what I want to do, I don't want to print that. What am I doing? That's where I wanted to go. What I want to do last here is just quickly look at how I think the team is going to line up in this one. So like I said, I would love to see Gray start in this one. So that's kind of what I'd like to see. So while I have him right here, Sarr is a player that I'm going to have to dive into a little bit deeper or speak about further on another video. I don't know why he hasn't been playing. He came on in the Monaco game and looked pretty good, like not outstanding by any means, but looked pretty good. Was definitely a change of pace to Bentancur, and I thought played better than Bentancur in some ways, but it's just so strange that he got off to such a good start and looked like he was going to be super integral to the way that we played this season and just really hasn't played much at all. Makes me think, I don't know, like, there's a personal thing going on, or like, is there something off the pitch that just isn't clicking right now? But I don't want to speculate on that, but like logically, it just seems weird that Thomas Frank's not playing him, and maybe that's just a complete oversight by Thomas Frank. But anyways, so I don't think Sarr will be starting this one. I really want to see, this is what I want to see. So maybe this is going to be more of a prediction of what I'd like to see than what I think Thomas Frank will do. I think we'll see Paulinho here, Gray here, and I think we will see Javi Simmons get the start in this one because he didn't start this last one. And I do think that we'll see, again, Odebear, wherever Odebear is on the screen. Is he not here? I must be blind. I must be missing him. Oh, I'm an idiot. He's right here. Okay, so I do think we'll see Odebear out wide again. I do think we'll see Richie starting this one. I know he just started at the weekend, but where we have a cup match in the week, I think that's where we'll see Tell start. But I wouldn't be surprised to see where we are going to be playing a team that will set up very similarly to Aston Villa in some ways. We could see Tell start again because Thomas Frank started Tell in that last match, obviously. I think we'll obviously see Porro. I think we'll see Romero. I think we'll see, not Romero. We will see Danso. Romero's still injured. Looks like he'll be injured for the next couple games at least. So I do think we'll see Danso on this one, Van de Ven, and then probably Spence out on the left because it looks like a doggy's still dealing with something that he picked up on international break. So this is the lineup I would like to see. The only caveat I would say to this one is that I could see Tell, if he doesn't play in the middle, I could see him starting out wide on the left because he didn't get any minutes in the Champions League, obviously, not being on the roster. But Odebear has been so good lately, and again, I can't find his name, that I think he'll start left wing again, more or less, till he just shows that he's, needs a break or hasn't been performing well. And the one I really want to see Archie Gray start this, because I think what that'll eventually kind of morph into at times is this. And I think that's where Archie Gray's been really good, playing in this half space here, finding Kudus going like that, finding Richarlison, and maybe even playing combinations with Xavi. So that's what I would like to see. Maybe it's slightly optimistic. Maybe we're not going to see that, but I just want to see Thomas Frank take some chances in the next couple matches. I think that earlier in the season is an opportunity where you can be experimenting a little bit more. So I know we're kind of heading into close to getting into the thick of it here. So that's where we're kind of running out of chances to do some real experimentation, because if you don't start to kind of pull things together overall as what your ultimate philosophy wants, you want it to be, we're kind of running out of time to make those big changes and make those lineup tweaks that people might question, but are in the aims to try to do something a little bit more creative or whatever. you don't really want to be making those decisions when it's February, March, April, and you're heading towards the end of the season. So the only tricky thing with that is that we will having a really tough run of fixtures here as we looked at. And so, where we haven't had the strongest run of fixtures, that's where I really would have liked to see Thomas Frank do some more experimentation. But at the same time, the other side of that coin, I can very much see like you don't want to just be playing completely different lineups every week when you're still trying to kind of drill in and embed a team into the philosophy and the style of play that you want to achieve. So anyways, that's enough of rambling and ranting for this one. We will see you for a post-game reaction video and some analysis after the game on Sunday. I am also kind of debating on, I think it'd be fun to do some watch-alongs on some upcoming matches at some point. I don't know exactly when I'll be doing that, but I have everything to do it, so I might as well do it. I think it'd be fun. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Overall, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Come on, you Spurs.